What if I told you there's a single body language trick so powerful that it makes women's subconscious minds light up with attraction before you even say a word? A technique backed by actual science, used by the most magnetically attractive men on the planet. And the best part? It takes zero natural talent to master. Stick around because by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly how to use it and why it works on a deep psychological level. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how some guys walk into a room and instantly command attention? Women glance over, conversations pause, and there's this undeniable presence that draws people in like gravity. Meanwhile, other guys can be talking for an hour straight and nobody even remembers they were there. They blend into the background like furniture nobody notices. The difference isn't their looks. It's not their money. It's not even what they say. The difference is how they carry themselves. And today, we're breaking down the exact body language trick that separates the unforgettable from the invisible. Now, before we dive in, here's what you need to understand. 93% of communication is nonverbal. Let that sink in for a moment. That means women are reading your body language, your posture, your movements, and your energy long before they hear a single word from your mouth. Research shows that people make judgments about attractiveness in as little as 1/10 of a second. That's faster than a heartbeat. So if your body language is off, you've already lost the game before it even started. Think about how unfair that sounds. You could have the perfect opening line. You could be wearing a $1,000 suit. You could drive a $100,000 car. But if your body is screaming insecurity, none of that matters. She's already mentally checked out before you open your mouth. So what's this body language trick that makes women obsessed? It's called expansive stillness, and here's why it works. Research published in Psychological Science studied speed dating interactions and found that postural expansiveness was the single most powerful predictor of romantic attraction. More than looks, more than earning potential, more than how much you made her laugh. Every 1-unit increase in expansive body language nearly doubled a man's chances of getting a yes from his date. Let me repeat that because it's important. Your posture can literally double your chances of success with women. That's not opinion. That's peer-reviewed science from researchers studying real human interactions in controlled environments. But here's where most guys get it wrong. They think expansive means being loud, taking up space aggressively, or puffing out their chest like a gorilla trying to intimidate a rival. That's not it at all. That kind of forced dominance actually repels women because it signals insecurity disguised as confidence. Women can smell fake confidence from a mile away. They've seen it countless times before. True expansive stillness is about commanding space with calm confidence. It's about being comfortable in your own skin while occupying more room than an insecure person would. Think about it. When you're nervous, what does your body do? You cross your arms, you hunch your shoulders, you make yourself smaller. You might shove your hands in your pockets or fidget with your phone. It's a primal survival instinct hardwired into your brain. You're trying to avoid being a target. But when you're confident, your shoulders roll back naturally. Your arms hang loosely at your sides or gesture openly when you speak. You stand with your feet shoulder width apart, grounded and stable. You're not fidgeting or adjusting yourself every 2 seconds. You're not checking your phone compulsively. You're still. And that stillness is magnetic. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine 2 guys standing at a bar on a Friday night. Guy number 1 is hunched forward, arms crossed, eyes darting around the room nervously like he's watching for danger. He keeps adjusting his collar and shifting his weight from foot to foot. Guy number 2 is leaning back slightly, one hand resting casually on the bar, feet planted wide. He's surveying the room slowly, completely at ease with himself and his surroundings. Which one do you think women notice? Which one would you want to be? The answer is obvious, right? Now let me explain the psychology behind why this works so powerfully on a subconscious level. When you hold an expansive, open posture, your brain actually changes its chemistry. Research from Harvard Business School found that holding a high-power pose for just 2 minutes increased testosterone by around 19% and decreased cortisol, the stress hormone, by about 25%. You're not just looking more confident externally, you're literally becoming more confident from the inside out. Your body is changing your mind through hormonal feedback loops. Women pick up on this subconsciously through millions of years of evolutionary programming. They're hardwired to be attracted to men who display dominance without aggression. Open, expansive body language signals that you have access to resources, that you're not threatened by your environment, and that you're comfortable being the center of attention. These are traits evolution has programmed women to find irresistible because they suggest protection, stability, and genetic fitness. But expansive stillness is just the foundation. It's the base layer of attraction. Now let me show you how to amplify it with 5 powerful techniques that work together like instruments in a symphony of attraction. The first amplifier is what I call the triangular gaze. Here's how it works. When you're talking to a woman, don't just stare into her eyes like a robot or someone trying too hard. Instead, let your gaze naturally move in a triangle. Start at one eye, hold it for a moment, then shift to the other eye. Then briefly drop your gaze to her lips before coming back up. This pattern is incredibly powerful because it signals romantic interest without being creepy or overbearing. Studies from Radboud University and Rutgers found that eye contact combined with subtle movement makes people more memorable and more noticeable. A separate study on speed dates found that mutual eye contact was a significant predictor of mate choice, completely independent of physical attractiveness. And when you add that brief glance at the lips, you're subconsciously suggesting intimacy. Her brain registers this subtle cue and starts associating you with romantic potential. You're planting seeds without saying anything inappropriate. The key is subtlety. You're not staring at her mouth like you haven't eaten in days. It's a soft, natural flow that takes 2 to 3 seconds per cycle. When done right, it creates what researchers call anticipation. And anticipation is the fuel of attraction. She starts wondering about you without knowing why. Now here's amplifier number 2, slow, deliberate movement. You ever notice how action heroes in movies never seem rushed? Think about James Bond for a second. He doesn't nervously tap his fingers or shift from foot to foot when talking to a beautiful woman. He moves with purpose. Every gesture is intentional. Every action is controlled. He reaches for his drink slowly. He turns his head deliberately. He never seems hurried. This principle applies directly to attraction. When you move slowly and deliberately, you communicate that you're in control of yourself and your environment. Research shows confident people take their time because they're not worried about losing attention or approval. They know they deserve to be there. They know people will wait for them. Conversely, fast, jerky movements signal nervousness and anxiety. It tells her subconscious that you're uncomfortable, possibly even untrustworthy. Your body is leaking insecurity. So when you reach for your drink, do it slowly. When you turn to look at something, don't whip your head around like a startled bird. Move like you own the room, even if you just walked in 5 minutes ago. And this ties perfectly into our third amplifier, the strategic pause. Most guys are absolutely terrified of silence. The moment there's a lull in conversation, they panic and start rambling about anything just to fill the dead air. They'll talk about the weather, their job, their weekend plans, anything to avoid that uncomfortable quiet. This is a big mistake. Huge mistake. Strategic pauses actually increase your attractiveness significantly. Research from the Schulich School of Business found that pauses dramatically enhance a speaker's impact and make them seem more authoritative and competent. When you pause before making an important statement, you build anticipation. The listener leans in mentally. When you pause after saying something meaningful, you give it room to land and resonate. Here's how to use this in practice. When she asks you a question, don't answer immediately like an eager student. Take a beat. Let your eyes hold hers for just a second longer than expected. Maybe let a slight smile cross your face. Then respond thoughtfully. That tiny delay communicates that you're thoughtful, that your words carry weight, and that you're not desperate to please her. Women rarely encounter men comfortable in silence, Most guys word vomit all over every conversation. When you master the strategic pause, you become instantly different from every other guy she's talked to that week or that month. Now let's talk about amplifier number 4, the light touch. Physical contact is one of the most powerful accelerators of attraction in existence. Touch creates connection faster than hours of conversation ever could. But most guys either avoid it completely because they're scared, or they do it in a way that feels invasive and uncomfortable. Here's what the science says. A study conducted in France by psychologist Nicolas Guéguin found that when men lightly touched a woman's arm while asking for her phone number, their success rate nearly doubled. 65% of women agreed to dance when touched compared to just 43% without any contact. Women who were touched rated the men as more attractive and more dominant. The key word is lightly. We're talking about a brief touch on the arm or shoulder lasting 1 to 2 seconds maximum. Nothing more. Why does this work so effectively? Touch triggers oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It creates an instant physical connection and breaks down the invisible barrier between two strangers. It also signals confidence because only a confident man would comfortably enter her personal space without hesitation. But context matters enormously. This works when there's positive energy in the conversation. If she's giving closed body language, leaning away, or not making eye contact, touching her will backfire spectacularly. Wait until she's laughed at something you said or leaned toward you. Those are green lights. Then let your hand briefly touch her forearm while making a point. It should feel natural, like punctuation to your sentence, not forced. Now for amplifier number 5. And now you've got the code. Before you go, here's my question. What's the one body language habit you know you need to fix? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one, and I might make a video specifically addressing your challenge. If this video gave you value, smash that like button. It tells the algorithm to share this with more people who need to hear it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you never miss when we drop knowledge like this. And share this with a friend who needs it. You know exactly who he is. Thanks for watching. Now get out there and command some presence.